Welcome back to Unscripted. We're diving into something super important today, being kind and resilient, especially when things get tough. We live in a world that's becoming more disconnected, and it's time to reconnect with our humanity. We'll chat about the ups and downs of parenting, staying safe, and how empathy and communication can transform our relationships.
Plus, we'll explore what horses can teach us about being human. It's all about getting back to our roots in a world that's become too cold and calculated. So let's remember what it means to truly be human. Tune in and join the conversation.
Welcome to Unscripted, your guide to discovering the various options available to you in the integrated and collaborative medicine space. I'm Janine Barandi, and I've been treating patients with acupuncture for 10 years.
And I'm Jenny Poole. I'm a trauma specialist and somatic therapist with a passion for psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy. The objective of our podcast is to explore the various care options available. Through our years of practice, we've found that different modalities can complement each other and conventional medicine.
We hope our conversations resonate and help you find the right tools and specialists for your unique needs.
We believe in an advanced care model where the doctor is not the only expert. We encourage you to embrace a mindset where your practitioners are your teammates, ultimately empower you to take control of your health.
As with every episode, this is not intended to act as medical advice, and no patient-practitioner relationship is formed from subscribing or tuning in.
I had a moment the other day. I'm watching my friends. They have one of those in-house gardens.
Oh, yeah.
And I went by their house and parked in the driveway. I'm walking up to the door, and I have the keys and say, "Hey," neighbors outside.
Yeah.
And as loud and militant as he could, he said, "Do you have some ID?" And I was like,
"I have their keys, so that means something."
Yeah. I was like, and exactly, that's what I did. He said, "Yeah, but I need to see some ID."
You're like, "No, you don't. You need to see that I have their keys."
And I was like, and I just froze. It was an interesting moment because I knew it. I knew what was happening when it was happening.
Yeah.
I was like, this is triggering me.
Yeah.
And I know I'm in freeze.
Yeah.
I am in freeze response. It was so cool to stand there and just look at him. And I was not happy.
Sure.
And he knew I was not happy.
Because he's rude.
And I stood there. I face squared on with him. I could tell. I was like, wow, I am ready to fight.
Yeah.
I am in freeze mode, but I am ready to fight this guy.
Yeah, pivot. Yeah.
And I just I could feel my muscles starting to shake. And there was this pour of adrenaline that went down into my legs, into my quads. It was crazy. And I was like, I am still dysregulated.
Yeah.
And this is a dysregulated response.
Oh,
from this man.
Overkill versus why are you talking to me like that? Ask me differently.
Well, a dysregulated response on his part too.
For sure.
The flex was so completely
a reaction to his tone. That's why it's why are you talking to me like this? If you wonder why I'm entering this house, why not ask me
nicely?
Because I would expect you to assume that the only reason I'm entering this house is under the auspice of
I have permission to be here.
I've been invited, yeah.
Right.
So that being said, I have their keys, and do you want to ask me differently?
Yeah.
Right.
So
right. But
here comes the moment.
You're right. But his tone set the tone.
Right.
That's the key that people need to understand. The tone sets the tone. Sometimes you're I can't believe you reacted that way. It's
right.
Tone sets the tone.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's none of this you can't read into what I said by the way I said it. You just have to go with the way I said it. And I absolutely
know. Yeah.
The way you say something absolutely
shapes the next coming moments. For sure.
Yes. Okay. So this was the next moment that happened. He's like, "Nah, I'm just kidding." And I was like, and he started laughing. And here I am. And I'm
you're this now,
oscillating between this fight and freeze response.
And then you want to kind of be well, F you then for
I was
activating
so I checked my Aura ring after.
With it
and I was in stress.
Yeah.
I peaked way high up in stress. And my heart rate variability dropped, my breath, my respiratory rate increased. I was stressed out.
Yeah.
And so it's yes, I can look at that and say, "Oh, Janine, you're still dysregulated." because the scared animal is still just now wandering out of the cage in some ways. But fuck that guy. Right. Because that's not a normal way to treat other people. And especially with the number of people. And so I think what happened in me was, this is obviously a very militant man.
Yeah.
And I could gather that from some of the other things I witnessed.
Yeah.
And about his house.
Yeah. He's like, no, consciously, unconsciously, I'm going to keep this neighborhood safe.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was like, is he going to shoot me? Because some of that shit has happened.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, like, I guess I was left feeling a little bit like, I wish I had a gun on me too.
Yeah.
And why do women in America carry guns? To protect themselves against American men.
Yeah.
Why do men in America carry guns? To protect themselves against China and other foreign invaders.
Right.
But women in America, for the most part, are protecting themselves against other Americans.
Yes, well said.
And that was like
I wield one.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad, because
separate from that, I got one of those shocker things. What are they called?
The tasers.
The tasers, because I thought I am pretty comfortable with this, but like I feel like it's hard to get going. And this thing, at least I can get you, and then I can get that thing if I need to.
Yeah.
Because I can't be like bumbling around.
I know. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Hold on a sec. Can you just pause?
When you're writing,
wait. Before you attack me, I have things to do. I need at least 10 more seconds. At least at that, like, zip. Now I have 10 seconds for you somehow.
Safety. Sorry, take the safety out.
Yeah. Did I do that too long? I feel like he's not moving anymore at all. Like, how long are you supposed to put these things on people?
Should I pull the trigger again? Does that keep the shock going?
My son was like, Mommy wants, what did he say to me? Oh, he was going to New York. He's like, can I have $200 for spending money? I said, yes, but if you let me shock you with this thing, I'll give you $300. He was like, okay. And he's like, no, actually not. I was like, I just want to see, is this the equivalent of grabbing an electric fence from your horses?
No.
Or it's worse. So I'm glad.
God, honey,
I was so joking.
So much worse.
So people would be like, I can't believe you said that to your son. I was like, I was joking, but
please don't ever, especially your boys.
No, but it was funny watching his choice. He was like, no. I'm like,
no, they hurt. They fuck some people up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I'm glad I have it, because in the end, it gives me more seconds to find the other more lethal thing. But I was like, I need an in between. I can't get to the lethal thing, I think, fast enough sometimes. Zoom. Now I have 10.
I did the Tough Mudder one year.
That's hard.
Okay, so there's a couple of obstacles where you're like army crawling through this thing, and they have these little wires hanging down, and they've connected it to an old car battery.
That's too much. I'm like,
I have
just have
one
the
of
wires
these things hit me, and I almost dropped.
Yeah,
and it was at the finish line, and I was super excited. So I'm like, yeah,
I'm like crawling to the finish line,
and it got me, and I was like, oh.
They have the fire line. You're like, I'll just crawl through that. I don't
faltered. I almost passed out. Like, it almost reset me. I was like, God.
Like, dude, I think that's not legal.
Yeah, it was bad. And I'm sure that's probably more the frequency that those tasers are on. They will take you down, maybe even stop your heart.
Well, let's be clear, I would never shock my son, but it was fun to tease him about it.
Totally.
I was like, you want $200? You want $300? He's like, just give me $200.
Don't kill me, Mom.
He said no, when he needed to save though, and he was like, I'll do it for $1,000. I'm like, I'm not giving you $1,000 to try this out. I was like, that's too much.
Oh, God, that's so funny.
I was like, but would you really do it for $1,000? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I said that, but now that you might take me up on it, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be worth it.
Yeah, no, I don't think
it might be.
I wouldn't do it anyways. I'd be like, dude, I was just kidding about this whole thing, but I wanted to see your thresholds, and now I know what they are.
Have you seen the YouTube videos of those things?
No, but I should look at them.
Yes,
that's good for me too, because then I thought
your kids take not awkward.
I would never do it, but I would do it to somebody that was trying to hurt me. I for sure would. I'd be like holding that thing first. I'd be like, "Are you dead?" I don't know. If someone tried to hurt me or my kids, I would definitely, I would definitely do what I needed to do to protect me and my own, especially my kids. Like, they have to cut off my arms and my legs or kill me to stop me from saving my kids.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Mama Bear. energy for sure.
I think I'd be one of those psychos that just loses it. Like, what did you do here? I'm like, trying to kill my baby. So
do you expect me to remember anything beyond trying to kill my baby?
Yeah, if you tried to hurt my baby, I lost it.
Yeah, you know that phenomena where you see red. And nothing else computes beyond that. I cannot be held accountable for my actions.
Watch a mama bear in action, and that's what will.
Yeah, totally. That's funny.
Yeah, but it was because he was like $1,000. I'm like, no, and then I was like, well, and he's like, actually, no. But there was one time I was at some horses and they had an electric fence. I remember swinging back and I hit it, and I remember being like, that was pretty uncomfortable. I can't imagine these things.
Yeah.
You couldn't get off that fence fast enough.
Yeah. My brother and sisters, when we were young, we grew up with horses.
Yeah, that's the reason. The reason the horses stay away from it is they know
it sucks.
They touch it one time, they're like, "I'll never touch that again."
I'm gonna stay away from that damn fence.
Those things are like a ton. I don't know how much horses weigh, but they weigh a lot more than we do. So
yeah, my brother and sisters used to get us as the little ones to go and test the electric fence.
Are you serious? Like, hey, go see if that's on.
Yes, go touch it. Because that's how they'll know. Because we had this huge farm and we had electric fence just wired through the entire farm. And there was one central circuit board for it. And I don't know, I guess there were some places that didn't work, and I don't know. I don't understand electric fence.
Do you want to know what some of them do? They make sure the horses know that it's on. So they basically like introduce it to them, boom, shock them. And then they turn it off because the horses will never touch it again. Yeah. Almost never. Does that make sense? Because they like know that thing is.
Yeah. Like we did it once.
And so they never,
and then
they never,
right.
Because they never have to pay electricity again, because they kind of trust that the horses will never like venture. They're like, we learned that is a scary, ouchy thing, and we'll never touch it again.
Yeah.
So even if you try and bring a horse close and it's off, they'll be like, we know that thing shocks us.
So what is it with cows and larger farm animals? Because you don't have the electric fence, you have the barbed wire. Do they not respond to the electric fence? I never understand why livestock wasn't held in with electric fence versus horses.
I wonder, well, horses are so intuitive. I can only tell you my experience from horses. Horses are so intuitive that if you teach them that something can hurt them, they'll remember that for a long time.
Yeah.
That's why damaged horses take a long time it's not they're unrecoverable, but trauma, they take a bit to recover. I think like ox and cows, they're just more blocky and like, blah, blah, blah. They're just less intuitive. And I don't say that in like harm to them, but like, I just think they are. And so they just kind of barrel through stuff.
Yeah.
Like, cut my leg, whatever.
Shocking me. It's only gonna hurt for a minute.
Getting shocked going through this shit, and then all of a sudden, all the things are like, we're not getting shocked because he just shocked him for us, right? And then the whole herd gets up because it's like they're all like, well, this one was the front runner, and it does hurt them, right? But I think they're just less sensitive, right? So I don't know if that's a genetic thing, right? But I just know horses are incredibly sensitive. That's why if you're scared, they'll be like, well, we know you're scared. Like horses freaking know they're your emotions. That's why when you're on them, you have to feel like you're safe and confident. And if you're scared, they're like, that's why the one horse that like knows if you know how to like manage them versus the one that doesn't, it's like doing whatever it wants. It's like, this horse is listening to me. And then you get an experienced rider on it and it's like doing everything it's supposed to. Cause it's like, oh, this person knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
So you can't do that anymore.
How are your babies?
They're so good.
I've watched some people. In my townhouse, there was a farm across the road, and I watched the one owner, and he was always very sweet, very gentle with his horses. He would go out there and exercise them. And never was intimidating, never laid a hand on them, just he communicated with them and they loved him. loved him.
Rightly so, right? They're like, this is our person.
And then one day I actually called him and I was like, hey, do you still have your horses there? Because I'm seeing some very questionable behavior. There's a guy and he's yanking on the lead rope, and this doesn't look like, it looks like there's somebody trying to train the human to be with the horse. It's very disjointed and it looks abusive. And he was like, yeah, I don't have my horses there anymore. I moved. And unfortunately, that's how some people manage their horses. And I was like, wow, that sucks. Because this guy, his psychology is all over him. He is
rough. I'm going to make you listen because you have to obey me out of fear versus love.
He's an abuser.
Yeah.
Like you can see that from the way he's treating these horses. And thankfully, I never saw him again.
Yeah.
Like I think that the people who were bringing their horses there, I don't know if they were interviewing him, like, hey, we're going to bring our horses here. Can you take care of them? Whatever happened, like that guy didn't show back up.
Yeah.
Because they treated their horses better beyond that.
Well, there's a movement happening in the horse world that I think is beautiful. It's called liberty training.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, where I've seen people riding their horses. All they have is a rope around their neck. The lead rope is around their, it sounds weird to say around their neck, but it just is like a cue. And they don't have, the beautiful thing about it is the rope is just loose around their neck and they're bridle-less. And they're riding them.
That's cool.
And they're riding them in the open. And it's just.
Is it around their neck or is it around their breast?
Well,
because I've heard of the.
It's around their breast, but when they pull up on it, it kind of slides up. But it's just a cue. All you have to do is basically grab it. And say, whoa, right? It's mainly a 2-minute cue. So again, like the bit, it's very soft. It's as soon as, because again, remember, if a horse can shake off a fly, if they can feel a fly land on them and shake it off, they can feel you as soon as you're picking up the lead rope to stop them, right? They can feel all of that happening. They can feel that you've now grabbed it and now there's different pressure. That's how sensitive horses are. So as soon as you grab that rope and say, whoa, they're already responding to that. In liberty training, what you're connecting to is the trust that the horse will stop as soon as you grab. Those people that have had their horses liberty trained where they don't need a bridle and they just have the horse around their breast, like the rope around the breast collar as it slides up to their neck. They're not choking them. They're literally just giving them a cue.
Yeah.
And they're never having to put more pressure than anything other than the cue.
Right.
Because there's so much attunement. I love it. I actually signed up for the gal who, I think she was the core gal that invented liberty training. It was so cool. There's so much stuff you can do with foals to get them ready for liberty training. But I eventually like to have Hazel and Saber. I don't know if Saber could ever be ridden as a stallion in liberty. We'll have to see with other mares. Because I'm all about trail riding. Like, I don't want to just go by myself. I want to take people with me that want to go, right? Yeah. Already. So I don't need to be like fighting some stallion trying to mount a mare.
Yeah.
But I could ride eventually Saber and Liberty by myself. I think so, for sure. I've seen like horse after horse after horse after horse do it. Quarter horses, Arabians, warm bloods, all the different kinds. You always see, if you can do something once, that's cool. If you see it 1,000 times amongst different breeds, that's some.
Then that says that this is the right way to communicate with another species.
And the horse is listening to you because it loves you, not because it has to.
Yeah.
I love that space. Is that you're doing this because you love me and I asked you to, because I'm making you.
Yeah. And in that love, there's an equal exchange of respect and caretaking.
Yeah.
You're taking care of them. They're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that's going on within our species.
Yeah, with the relationship.
I mean, there's such an upheaval right now, but I think it's because there's so many people who've been like, no, damn it, I'm not going to be abused anymore.
Yeah. I talked to a gal recently that's like, I think I'm going to have to make a pivot out of my relationship. I said, I've been wanting to make a pivot, possibly out of a relationship for 8 years. The difference is that you finally feel, now that you have the education and you have a degree, that you feel financially secure enough to make the pivot out, that all will be okay. So instead of relying on survival and you're now in a place of like, I don't need you, I just want you. So if this isn't working anymore, I don't need this anymore. And there's such power in being able to make decisions in relationships because you want that relationship versus you need it.
Yeah.
And that happens more for women than it does for men, in that I have to have this because I don't know how to take care of myself without it, versus I just want this.
Yeah.
Because I can take care of myself.
Yeah. It's such a strange time. What a crazy time.
Yeah.
I find myself saying more often than not, we're still in the dark ages. And we are.
It's true.
Really.
Although you will see that this is where I see the awakening happen in the mental health field, but also the medical field, is that more and more people are clamoring for, I want efficacy in my care. Don't bullshit me and don't not listen to me. If you don't listen to me, I'll just go find somebody else.
Yeah.
And so what they're finding is I can't just tell you a general thing. Like, you need to feel like I'm helping you.
Yeah.
And people are calling more and more for efficacy, and also connected to that, I think, warmth in the presentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll just go out to it.
Yeah.
And so if you, as a clinician, as a medical provider, as any kind of professional in the world, if you can't combine efficacy with warmth, go find someone else.
Yeah.
Because they realize they have choices and they'll make those choices.
I'll tell you this much. There is so much work to do to train the next wave of humans to be with other humans.
Agreed. That is by the way, the art of that is lost. And I will tell you this happened 5 years ago. There was actually a research. I'll find the research paper and I'll send it to you. Is medical students were having a hard time grasping the concept of how a heart worked because they had never worked a pump. And so because they had never physically worked a pump, they were struggling to grasp the concept of a heart working as a pump. And so they were struggling to amalgamate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The idea that the heart's a pump because they had never kinesthetically.
Yeah, like
pump.
Just.
Yeah. Those like water pumps that you have to.
Yeah.
For us to get
out in the field.
And then the water comes out. And then it kind of eventually tapers off. You're like, I got to pump that thing again.
Yeah.
To get the water out, right? But because they had never physically ever exponentially or experientially a pump, they struggle with the concept. So you're working with a generation of people that not just experientially have experienced less, but emotionally have experienced less, because you live in a world where I can just stop talking to you. I don't have to deal with conflict resolution. I don't have to deal with, it's just easier to disengage.
Oh, totally.
And so you're working with a population of people that have to learn how to humanistically interact with people and deal with conflict or upset without being kind of cold and just disconnected.
Yeah.
To reawaken them to, like, well, it's no wonder that you think that you can just kind of do it this way, because you haven't had to qualitatively do it this way. You actually have to.
Here's a little foreshadowing, and I always do. I leap 5 lily pads ahead.
Rightly so.
Okay. And maybe someday you and I are going to look back on this moment and have this conversation like, holy shit, I can't even believe where we've evolved to. We'll probably be very old. But this is part of the conversation I had with my dad tonight. I was like, Dad, I'm watching as the generation that is now most prevalent and up and coming, they're pointing the finger everywhere and saying, this is wrong, take down that statue, this is wrong, that's wrong. And that was just your way of life. That was just the evolution,
right,
of what was happening at the time. And here you are, an 80-year-old fragile man.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we are. Every fucking one of us is going to be fragile at 80.
Yes.
Okay. Unless, well, maybe not, but
we'll transcend
things are changing and maybe we're going to live forever. But you and I are not too far removed from that age.
Right.
Okay. It's like they say, like time flies.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're going to be 80.
Boom.
And I wonder a lot, what am I doing now in my thought process that as an 80-year-old, somebody who has lived so much life that in so many ways I have adapted to a way that allows me to survive. And therefore, I am not wrong because I am still alive.
Yeah.
I've beat the odds.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fucking not wrong.
I'm still here.
And I've got a generations of humans that are younger than me pointing to me and saying, you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's not the right way to do it. And I think that was probably the magical moment that I had with my dad tonight, where I was like, Dad, I don't think that our species knows what to do with the rapid evolution of what's going on right now.
I don't think so either.
So it's tricky. It's a very delicate, tricky landscape. And if we don't traverse this with grace, grace and respect for one another, we will be our own demise.
That's true. And Jean, I guarantee you, if not in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what you will be teaching people is maybe for sure what medicine works, but also what needs, like helping people remember what it needs to connect with people. Because that connecting with people is being lost.
I know.
That's it's easy. Yeah. And it's easier to withdraw and just be like, I'm going to ghost you, or I'm just going to say that you're a narcissist right now, rather than manage conflict. And then the resulting thing that's going to happen is this kind of I don't know if I want to call it weird sensitivity, but overreactive sensitivity to conflict that would otherwise be very normal to work through.
And that brings us full circle to the beginning of our conversation. There is this undeniable insistence within me that says, tie up those loose ends.
Yes.
Do something, say something. This is your opportunity for kindness.
Yeah.
It is just a simple human kindness. Just be kind.
Yeah.
Be kind.
And beautiful and well done for you to lean into that, because people ignore that, Janine. And then later, sometimes either have regrets or even if they don't remember that they could have or should have or would have done that, it's like kindness isn't going to hurt you.
No.
Right? It's like leave with kindness, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong to fuel that and leave that with a level of kindness. And who knows what that does.
And it doesn't mean that you have to open the door
to toxicity, right? Yeah. And or like depleting yourself, or
it doesn't mean that we're re-engaging and water under the bridge. It's more like, no, that bridge burnt.
Yeah.
And there's no like the connection to the toxicity that was on the other side of that bridge is like completely impassable forevermore.
I'm saying this because I'm going to say it now, because 30 years later you can be like, and we'll be like 70, but I'm going to be teaching people how to remember what it was like to connect to human beings.
I know.
I really believe that some of the work I'm going to do in my later years is really remind you what it feels like to have a humanistic connection versus being more robotic and less kind of cold and calculated, but more like, where's the warmth and connection? Because I just see it. Like, I could be more proud of my 15-year-old who sent me this certificate from McDonald's. He was like that. It was where's my phone? I don't know. It was like a certificate of like, congratulations for being the most courteous employee. My 15-year-old got that. And I was like, way to go. You're awesome. And that's so cool. That says something about you. And like, holy shit, I'm doing something right as a mom to help still like courtesy. Just be kind. He tells me the craziest stories sometimes too of people that are just upset. He's like, I just answer with kindness. I said, so way to go, dude. Because there was a time in my life when you were 14, now he's almost 16, where I thought, I think you're going to be an a-hole the rest of your life. Like, what is happening here? Like, be nice. Be nice to me, first and foremost. I do a lot for you. But second to that, get some people.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot.
That's so cool.
Your evolution, bud. Like,
Somebody just needs to shake it off.
yeah. But he's in a generation of people that sometimes don't. And like,
Yeah.
they learn to be like, I can just delete you. I can just not talk to you. I can ignore you. I don't have to do anything about this. And unfortunately, it's growing a low tolerance for engagement and conflict resolution. And that's an incredible skill as a human being to have, is conflict resolution. And when you lose that in people, it's a scary state, I think, because either people get bombastic and reactive and go to fight mode or just avoidant mode.
Yep.
And when people feel ghosted, they're like, it's distressing as well. So
it's funny. My dad said probably about 10 years ago, he was like, hold on to that skill set that you have. You're going to make a lot of money purely from teaching people how to talk to other people.
Yes. 100%.
Very soon.
100%.
And now here we are. And I'm like, oh God.
You do lead with love and kindness. Well, like when you look at how the people that you work on talk about you, and it's inevitable. The students that you teach will lead with love and a humanistic approach. And unfortunately, I'm telling you right now, it's sad that that's being lost.
Yeah.
You look at even in 2020, what COVID did, like, I can't believe some of the ways that I was talked to when I was pregnant. I had Bruce in May of 2020. Like, I had people walking up to me because I had a mask on and couldn't breathe because I was about to have a baby.
Right.
Bobby was 3-4 at the time. There's like, she had a mask on your kid. I was like, all he did was like move it around, right? He would just tape it on. I was like, I remember this lady went out of her way to walk up to me and be like, you should have your son have a mask on. I said, and then there was a guy by me that had a kid my age. I said, so he could do that? Because the kid was messing around with his mask the whole time. I said, I'm glad that you went out of your way of your day to make sure that even though no one asked you to be the mask police today. I said, and you're actually within the 6 feet bubble. I'm surprised you're exposing yourself to my toxins. She probably should. I said, even though I have a mask on, my son doesn't. I'm surprised she got that close to us. It's hard for me not to be sarcastic, but I was like, you can tell I'm about to have a baby. There was no question. Like, any given moment, this baby was about to come out of my belly.
Oh my God.
And that's what you spent your time. I was like, I said, it's interesting that you spent your time doing that today. I said, I hope that you feel good about what you decided to do today. I said, I hope that felt good to you. I was like, it was so hard for me not to
COVID was such a disaster.
Yeah, I was like, I said, in the foundation of that, I knew why people were scared. But at the end of the day, there was no grace given to this pregnant woman that was like having to go to the grocery store to get tired. And the last thing I want to do is do that.
Yeah.
With my 3.5, 4-year-old.
Right.
Like, who was fighting with his mask. Like, you don't think that I thought about that before I went to the store? Like, how much shit am I going to get with him effing around with his mask? Like, just don't even worry about it. And somebody went out of their way to make sure. And I was like, I'm really surprised that you put yourself at risk to come talk to me today. Like, well done.
Good job.
Well done. I'm glad that I said, I'm sorry that Harmons isn't paying you to do the
message received.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, leave with love.
Yeah.
But,
but so
at the end of the day, I looked at the kid by me and I was like, that's exactly what Bo would be doing if I tried to make it more advanced. It wouldn't even be like on half the time.
Yeah.
The kid was pulling it off, pulling it back on, pulling it off. We're exposing people. Like, maybe I should just DoorDashed, or like Instacarted. But at the end of the day, I knew we needed milk. I had like 3 items in my cart. I looked at the items in my cart. I'm like, well, that sure wasn't worth it. It was one of those moments where I was like, man, what is happening in the world today? And people would be like, well, we were scared. We didn't know if COVID was a plague. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you were that worried about it as a plague, 1, don't come to Harmon's and shop, or 2, don't come and talk to me. Like, if you thought you were going to get die, don't. She was well within the 6-foot mark to talk to me. She certainly wasn't talking to me 6 feet away. Like, hey, I think your son should have a mask on. She was like right up in my face. Wow, you're getting exposed. Just, I don't know if this isn't an N95 mask. So I don't know if you're even getting some exposure and toxins, serious or COVID mutagens from me as we're talking right now. You could be getting those from my mask. This doesn't screen all of that. So you're putting yourself at risk just saying this to me. I was like, it was hard for me not to say all that stuff,
Dude,
right?
I went for a walk and like I had to have been like at least 1,000 feet from where I was walking down the sidewalk to where this truck pulled up to a stop sign, right? And the guy was smoking.
Uh-huh.
And I could smell the smoke from his truck. And I was like, COVID. Okay? Like, that's how far our breath travels on the air.
Right.
When we're outside.
Right.
This whole thing is, I'm not sure that the masks are doing the thing that we think they're doing.
I'll tell you what, that
if this isn't airborne.
Yeah. At that moment in time when it created, let's say that it was a deadly plague. Okay. Be really careful and keep your kids safe and yourself safe. But it wasn't. And so at the end of the day, what it created was animosity. Like people being like, fucking stay your distance.
Yeah.
Don't get by me. Neighbors that used to be friendly, like stay away from me. All it did, a lot of what it did was create dissonance. And unfortunately, some of that still, the ripples of that still are out there, even though here in St. George and not so much. But I will tell you, I couldn't even believe there was also another time when I was at Costco and I literally it was a week prior to having the baby and I'm like, I need to get more wipes. I went to Costco, braved the shit show of Costco, and the lady's like, you know what? Because it was 2020, they're like, we're only getting one of those. I was like, what? I can only buy one box of wipes. She was like, yeah, we're only doing one. She's like, what you can do is come tomorrow and get another box. And I looked at her and I was like, I'm about to have this baby. Like, I'm not trying to like stockpile wipes and sell them on the black market. I literally am about to have, like, I just need wipes. Like, I was like, I just need you to let me buy 2 boxes because I'm not coming back here tomorrow. I'm tired. Like, did she just need these wipes? She was like, no. She was like, no. And this other lady that was a manager said, buy the 1 box here and I'll let you buy the other box here. I said, thank you. But that lady was not going to bend. She was like, no, 2 box wipes here. Like, not going to happen. I was like,
well, the last thing she could do in a time when there's a pandemic and everybody's going to die is lose her job.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, the thing was on the register. I was like, I don't care how I buy these wipes today.
Yeah.
I need these wipes. I promise I'm not trying to make money on your wipes. I'm not going to sell these for $4. I just want some wipes for my baby side. When he's here, I don't have to go anywhere. I just have the things.
What a weird experiment.
It was so weird.
Such a weird time.
She's like, there's a sign. I said, oh my gosh. I was like, this lady, like, I was so grateful. I said, I'm so grateful that you figured out how to make this happen. She's like, you're obviously having a baby anytime soon. I said, obviously. I literally, and I had my Bobby there. He's like, yeah, what this stuff? I was like, about ready to cry. I was like, you should have just cried.
Yeah. If somebody came over and said,
I'll buy these for you.
I'm going to override this transaction.
This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I'll give you the $20 in cash. Can you put these? You don't have wipes, so can I put these on your cart? Will you buy these?
You had gone into full tantrum.
Like I was a lady,
like
here,
a 2-year-old
losing it.
Yes.
Yeah. She can have her baby right here. We need to give her these wipes.
Yeah. Let's come back to being human.
Yeah, that's it. You will teach people how to remember to be human, the humanistic side of things, because you're looking at a generation that's more cold, more calculated, more strategic. It's fine to be strategic, but
our robots are warmer than you.
Yeah. So you'll help remind people how to be human.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks everybody for joining us. And if you want to connect with me, I'm at theacupuncturist_org on Instagram. And if you want to connect with me, I'm at MEND, MEND, mendcounselingcenter.com. And also Jenny, JENNIE _ pool, POOL. And that's my Instagram. Thanks. See you next time.
Thank you for joining us on Unscripted. I'm Jenny Poole.
And I'm Janine Borandi.
We hope you found today's discussion as inspiring and insightful as we did. If you have any questions, comments, or stories you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you.
Connect with me on Instagram at The Acupuncturist.
And you'll find me on social media at Mend Counseling Center.
Until next time, remember that the best gift you can give to those you love is the gift of your own good health.